Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Headline edition will bring you special reports and interviews in a moment.
How you doing? This is the guy from Pittsburgh, and I want to talk about attack of the 55th Mildew and the evil bankers. And I don't know which one is more insidious, the evil bankers or mildew. My late mother was always cold. I guess when you get old, your circulation suffers. My feet get cold in the winter. Not cold now. It was 84 yesterday, or in 8 minutes it'll be yesterday. It's still hot in here. I cleared a space to get the air conditioner, and that'll be next. The room's not done, as you can see, and I forgot to tilt up the Mac to show the stuff in the background. But I'll have this room cleaned up. Now that I don't have to tackle mildew with bleach, vinegar, Tilex, scrubbing, bubbles, God knows, paper towels, buckets of water. Anyway, she ran her heater in her apartment. Apartment wasn't, the living space was about the size of this room. A little kitchen area over there, and bathroom, hallway, little patio. That was it. Lived in this little room for 25 years. And this heater used to be a big wall heater, and then they took it and turned it into a baseboard heater. She churned that thing on 24 hours a day for 25 years and just put steam into everything. And I used to come over there, roast, particularly on days when San Francisco gets about 4 to 6 days a year where it gets 80, 90 degrees, you die. Because nobody has air conditioning in San Francisco. Normally you get the fog coming in, and the wind, you don't need it. So I'd turn the heater off, and the damn thing would still be putting out heat. So she also slept with a heating pad, a down comforter, 2 or 3 blankets. She was still cold. So when she died, she used to keep the patio door up, and we didn't notice any odor. But when she died, oh God, I just noticed. Hope this thing is still working. The little thingy came off here. I'll have to go find it. I closed the patio door because the flies were coming in from the outside. I don't know where all the flies were coming from. They're insidious too. And we didn't come back for a couple days, maybe a week, because we were just too damn tired. So we came back, rented the truck, took stuff we wanted out. Didn't notice any odor. And then it happened. We put the stuff in our car, and it sat in our car for a couple of days. I took stuff upstairs to my girlfriend's house, brought stuff in here, and then bammo, all of a sudden I noticed, gee, the paperwork all smells horrible. And then I noticed everything else, the photographs. She had pictures of me, my sister, nieces, nephews, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandnieces, nephews, cousins, my father, her mother, her first husband, who disappeared in the Russian front. He was in the Wehrmacht. And everything reeked within about a week. The photographs, the paperwork, I had brought home a microwave and her blender and her toaster and the stuff stuck to plastic. It got into every fabric. I put her financial paperwork, her checking account statements, which I had to go from bank to bank. She had 7 bank accounts, 22 credit cards. That took me 3 days just to call the credit cards to cancel them. And my blue bag like this with a shoulder strap, my beloved blue Mac bag, got mildewed. Had to throw it out. I had carry-on bags. You take the cart, canvas, take to the store to canvas bags so you don't use paper or plastic. Those got mildewed. Had to throw those out. My long pants, I got at home one of these tray things with 2 drawers. I put some cables there and some magazines. Those were mildewed. My pants fell on top of it. It got mildewed. A board on top of the thing got mildewed. Wood got mildewed. I didn't know wood was mildewed. And the only thing that cures this is either Tilex or bleach if it's in the bathroom. I took her shower curtain. I'll get rid of my old shower curtain that's 10 years old, bringing her. That was mildewed. Had to throw that out. And we're just throwing out stuff like crazy. In the back of our car, the Prius has fold-down seats. You can turn them into a cargo area. That smells of mildew. Vinegar will kill it too. So tomorrow I got to go out in the heat, and we're going to wait till the sun goes down. And I got to crawl around in there, vacuum out the baking soda. I thought that would kill it, dry it out. It didn't. And there was a lot of stuff we had in the car still. Kleenex boxes and all kinds of stuff that all had to go throw in the garbage. It's horrible. I've become a minor expert on mildew and mold now. And I've seen videos and stories of mansions that had to be abandoned because they had mold in the walls. I saw a video the other day on YouTube. Guy tore out his bookcase, and up here where the bookcase used to be was all mold. And he tore the mold out and tore the drywall out, and behind that was more mold. The insulation had mold. The wiring had mold. Tore that out. The wall behind it had mold. And he said, I don't know what's in the wall behind that. And they have hazmat crews come out to businesses after floods because everything is moldy. And I remember watching stuff on Hurricane Katrina on all those houses. You know, this is like waist level, and the water was like way above, like to the ceiling. And every one of those houses full of mold and mildew. And some of them they just had to tear down. Some of them they restored, but it's a lot of work. I know ServPro does that. Some other companies, Service Master will do that. But I spent $60 on cleaning supplies, on mildew products, wipes, gloves, scrub brush, bucket, and anything I use gets put in a bag and thrown in the dumpster. Now, if normally sunlight will kill this, but this stuff isn't any mildew I've ever seen. You get mildew in your shower, spritz it with Tilex or bleach, it kills it. And I don't know why the chemical reaction, when you put bleach on mildew, it looks like either little black spots or streaks of black like you burned something. The stuff gets red hot. But whatever this stuff is, I bleached some stuff and that didn't even kill it. So that's one thing. Oh yeah, getting back to Bill Burns and UFO hunters. They had one thing here that they mentioned in an interview with Bill on Musicians for Freedom about Dulce, the base of Dulce. And I got one question. As far as I've known historically, every Indian tribe is considered a sovereign nation by the U.S. government. And they mention here that this Dulce base is on Indian land. I'm trying to find the mention of it. Specifically what tribe. Bear with me for a minute. Got to do scrolling up down the iPad. And where is this? Well, anyway, it's an Apache tribe, I think. And their reservation is part of that complex. So it makes you wonder why the Indians would let a secret complex be on Indian land. And from what little I know about most tribes, there's a lot of stuff in Indian land that's sacred. Not that the white man ever cared about sacred Indian land, but being Jewish, we know what sacred land is like, and I empathize with those people. They get screwed over. They got screwed over a lot, and they're still getting screwed over. So, if someone can answer that question, why there's a secret government base on land that belongs to the American Indians, let me know. It's driving me nuts now. I can't find this. Anyway, I mentioned tribal police, or the Jicarilla Apache. That's who the Apache is. Took me a while. So anyway, I get done with the mildew. And then the other nightmare is dealing with the evil bankers and their ridiculous regulations, because you got to go in when someone dies. And I'm going to do a video on this too. What to do when your parent dies and won't tell you what to do with their stuff. Well, when someone dies, you got to go to the bank. And if you're the executor and you have the will, they'll say, I appoint so-and-so as the executor. Or your lawyer's the executor. And they go into the bank and they say, I'm the executor. But you die intestate without a will, and it's under $150,000. There's no executor. Someone has to act as the de facto executor. Well, all my relatives are in Canada, Germany, Pennsylvania. I'm it. I'm out here in the West Coast, exiled from my beloved Pittsburgh. Hello, Jimmy Brigetta and everybody, and Free Art Bell, and go Bucks. Lost the game the other day, but I still root my Pirates. So you go into the bank. I took my mother's ID in. Took a copy of the death certificate. That's a racket. $21. They give you this nice piece of paper. Now I can't show you that because the damn death certificate was in the iPad bag. Now it's mildewed. I got it soaking out in baking soda and cat litter. So you bring them the death certificate that says so-and-so died on such and such a date. The doctor signs it, what they died of, where. Official seal of San Francisco. One piece of paper, $21. What a racket that is. I could print that out of my computer in a minute and a half. Cost me 3 cents. Maybe another 10 cents for the seal. In fact, that'd be a racket to get into. Forged death certificate, so you don't spend the $21 and get ripped off. And they want a some places, some banks want a certified copy of the death certificate. And I said, look, I ain't rich. I can't afford $21 for every damn bank. Other banks don't. So the day after my mother died, I go in, I start going to the paperwork. Now, on Monday, before she died, I saw her, and I'll see you Friday. I had to go take care of my own stuff, including feeding my cats, do laundry, do dishes. She goes, she knew I won't be alive Friday. I'll be gone. And then, you'll be alive Friday. You always bounce back. You'll bounce back from this. Well, she didn't bounce back. They gave her morphine sulfate under the tongue. She went to sleep, never woke up. She died on Wednesday. On Monday when I was there, housekeeper came in after she died The day before she died, the housekeeper took money out of the account. She had blank checks that my mother signed when she was able to sign. She was going blind, couldn't see. He had macular degeneration. The woman went from bank to bank and cleaned out the accounts. I got $5,100 back from the Jewish Family Service because you're not allowed to profit from the caree or the person you're your caregiver to. I raised hell about that. That's what paid for most of our Prius. And I go in there on Thursday and I go, where the hell's the rest of the paperwork? My mother was one of these people. She kept all her checking statements in this little shoe thing on the door of the bathroom. And kept that door open almost all the time. It didn't get mildewed. But every checking account statement for years, Bank of America, Chase, Citibank, Union Bank, Wells Fargo, had, for all I know, a couple more banks. And she also kept all her credit records, all her statements for about 3 years. Well, I'd gone through theirs the previous Friday, or Thursday actually. My mother put me on her Amex card and said, get it wherever you need. So I said, okay. Got my Amex card, and that's what paid for the iPad, the MacBook, the other Mac in the bedroom, my girlfriend's Mac, a flat screen TV. I forgot I got this monitor up here. I'm going to have to clean with bleach and hope the mildew isn't on that. But I'm not smelling mildew anymore. I bleached the hell out of my shower curtain, my shower today when I took a shower. So the mildew seemed to be gone from this area. So I come back and went on Thursday, and all the paperwork's gone. The blank checks are gone. My mother had all her blank checks in boxes. They're gone. Checking statements are gone. The credit card statements are gone. And I call the housekeeper. I said, where's all the paperwork? And she's Russian. Well, I threw it out. It was old. I said, this is the estate now. You're not supposed to touch anything. You don't touch paperwork when someone dies. You leave it alone. I don't want you in this apartment again. I'm acting the administrator now. You come in here again, I'll have you arrested. So I'm furious, and this led to a nightmare. My mother had cards with $19,000, $32,000, $11,000, $9,000, $15,000 limits. And the trick to that is you get a card with a $200 limit. You charge $200. Then the next month you go pay the $200 off, and you do that for a while, and after a while they raise your limit. Sometimes they don't even ask you if you want your limit raised, they just raise it. She did that for years. I could have gone if I were dishonest with her Discover card, got me put on the Discover card. I was at one point. She'd get mad at me, take me off, put me back on. And my mother was always mad at me for some reason or another. Even when I wasn't doing anything wrong, she had ideas of how I should live my life. She wouldn't let anybody live theirs, including my sister and my nieces and all that stuff. So anyway, the credit card information is gone. Took me 3 days to call our credit card. Said, my mother's dead. Please block these cards so no one gets a hold of them and charges on them. And then I start dealing with the banks. First, when I went to Citibank, the woman told me there's $3,200 in there. So great, I'll get that when they do the thing. Now, there's a thing in California. You got to wait 45 days to see if there's any claim on the checking or savings account. They put a hold on it. And after the 45 days, you go in and get the money. Well, I don't know how to want to make this mistake. It went from suddenly $3,200 to $54. I went in there 45 days. The guy says, well, it looks like the housekeeper put out a whole bunch of blank checks and cleaned out the account over the years. And since I don't know if they were legitimate expenses or not, because my mother rode in a wheelchair, couldn't walk well anymore. She could walk around the house, and one time she even was going across the street for her own building. Some guy hit her with a car with a wheelchair and threw her to the ground. It's dangerous out there. So I don't know. She would have the housekeeper go to the grocery store, go to the pharmacy, pay for stuff, and then she'd sign a check. Housekeeper would bake it out. I saw checks in the book for $400, $200, $300, $500. So I don't know if money was legitimate or not, or I would have gone after her for that, but she probably spent it all. So anyway, the first bank I go to is Citibank. I take the pre-Mildew debt certificate in, show them my mother has ID, show them my ID, give them my name and address, give them my mother's name and address. And then I look through the checking statements and I go, well, what's the next bank? And it's Wells Fargo. So I have an account at Wells Fargo. So I go to Wells Fargo, same thing. Then she had an account at Chase, checked with them. There's no money left in the account. I think the housekeeper may have cleaned it out. I haven't had a chance to go back to Chase. Then there's Bank of America. And I hate Bank of America, the passion, because I had an account with them on and off since I was 12 years old. They got employees who constantly tell you what to do, and then invariably their information is wrong because they don't know what the hell they're doing. And neither the guy at the next bank I'm going to mention. I'm not done with that. So I go in there, give them the paperwork, tell them I'm the de facto executor, and they tell me I got to go and get a notarized statement. Cost me $10 out of my pocket to show that I'm the de facto executor. And then I do that, and they said, well, you can come back to the branch. We'll give you the money. So I go do that. Cost me $10. Go to Pac Mail. Hi, Terry. Terry's the guy who owns Pac Mail Martinez. Great guy. He's a notary public. Pay him the $10. He stamps his thing. He signs it. I know this guy. We had a running thing about, I don't know you. Yeah, you know me. You've been seeing me for years. He said, I don't really know you. I know who you are. So it was like a comedy routine. So anyway, I go back to Bank of America yesterday. And they tell me, now I got to get a notarized statement telling them where I want the $45 check written, sent to me. Now, I don't know if they have a notary at that branch, but I got to go into Bank of America, write another letter out handwritten. The printer isn't working right now. Every time I move a Mac, the printer was hooked up to this Mac. Now it's next to the other Mac. And for some reason, every time I disconnect my Mac, take it to the Apple store, the printer can't find the Mac. And I got to see what they can do to fix that. Put it on the back of the network so it'll work all the time. So now I got to go back to the bank, maybe spend another $10 to get $45. Then there's Wells Fargo. They had me do the same thing. Had to go to a notary, prove who I am, take it back to the bank, wait a half an hour, had me fill out some forms. They gave me a check. Then there's Union Bank. We go on the same day of B of A to the branch where my mother would write me a check or sign a blank check, go to the bank, get some money out, take some money out yourself, take 50 or 25, whatever it was, for groceries and for your transportation expenses, because taking the bus, BART, and the bus to her house every time cost me $12 in bus fare and BART ticket, round trip. I did that for 25 years. She had me go to the Japantown branch. So I go in there, never knowing that it's not her branch. She dies, there's money in the bank account. I go to the guy, the officer, and he says, yeah, but now you need a notarized statement. I should have known and seen that coming, saying that you're the executor. And go to any Union Bank branch, and they will gladly give you your money. So I go get that, go in the next day to Union Bank in Walnut Creek, and get told, and he told me they couldn't find a signature card, and it's the home office, which is downtown on California Street. Now, if I'd known that, I would have gone to the home office, asked them if they had the notary, and saved me $10. I went afterward and said, you know, You made me fill out a notary I didn't have to fill out because I wasn't the beneficiary. I want my $10 back. And you would have known that if you'd found their signature card. The account was so old they couldn't find it. They found it. So then I got told my sister's the beneficiary. So they got to give me a form. They wouldn't tell me at first, and I raised enough hell. I said, look, this isn't Area 51 or Dulce. That's what I said to them. I said, it's not a deep, dark military secret, but I got to know who the hell to tell that money's there of my relatives. So the manager broke down, told me who it was. The lady I'd talked to at that branch said, do you have a sibling? I said, does that mean my sister? She said, yeah, I got a sister. Found out and talked to my sister. My mother had a whole bunch of kids. She had miscarriages, so I would have had a lot of brothers and sisters if they'd lived. I have one that was 4 years younger than me, and I wish he'd lived. Would have been nice to have a little brother. So anyway, I go back to the bank, and they tell me, well, they can't give me the money because my sister's the beneficiary. So call my sister. We have a long talk. Hi, Brigitte. Love you. Talk to my nephew, Jimmy, later. And so we have a long talk. She says, I don't want the money. Tell the bank to give you the money. And ask them if I can sign a letter saying you could have the money. So I talked to the bank. We can't do that. We can't verify the signature. I said, wait a minute. Stop the presses. Hold your horse. There's something wrong here. You have my sister get a form that I send her. She goes to a notary and says, Mr. Notary, here's my ID. Please stamp your form. Like, here's the stamp with the History Channel right there. There's your notary stamp saying that I'm so-and-so, and you attest that I'm so-and-so because I showed you my ID. Now, you accept that to be the beneficiary, but you won't accept it to make out another check to the other guy. This makes no sense. And now I got to mail the form. She gets the form. She goes down to her bank. And this amused me because my sister used to work for a bank. So then she's got to get notarized, send it back to me. I take it to the bank. Hello, Mr. Banker. I'm here with your form. You already know who I am. Cost me $10 to prove who I am. Here's a form of my sister proving who she is. They give me the check. I don't want them to mail it to it because by the time they turn around, it might take years to get her the check. So I got to mail her the check. Then she'll write me a check and send me the money. This is why I call this whole thing, I meant to say this, John B. Wells has Caravan to Midnight. I've been on the caravan to insanity. Then we got the insurance companies. Some of you may watch Jeopardy. And Alex Trebek does Jeopardy. Well, he's also the spokesman for Colonial Penn Life. It tells you how wonderful it is. You don't have to have any medical exam. You're locked into the same payment for the rest of your life. If you live to 187, you'll get your check. They don't worry about health benefits. If you've got one leg, you got one eye, you got one arm, they don't care. Just fill out, call them up. They'll send your card. You send them a check every month, and they'll give you $10,000, $20,000, $25,000, whatever, $5,000, whatever the hell it is. So my mother has an insurance policy with them, and she has an insurance policy on with a friend of hers. So I call him after she died. I was so frazzled by her death and tiredness. I was over there every day. I got about 3 hours of sleep every day she was dying because I would come home, drag my butt into the house, eat something, take a shower, collapse on the couch. Some nights I couldn't sleep at all. Get back on the bus, go back to San Francisco, and then do a whole circus all over again. So I forgot the day she died. There was some confusion whether she died on Tuesday or Wednesday. It took me about a week to find out exactly when she died. So I called the insurance company first. I'm not sure when she died, but they said, well, our claims department will send you the forms. You can give to the beneficiaries. I said, okay. So weeks go by, I call them up again. I get someone really rude saying, we're sorry, we can't tell you anything about it. You're not the beneficiary. I said, lady, I already know about it. I get the policies in my hand. I just want the forms so someone can get paid. So the other day I made my 7th phone call. Conefall. It's new. Give me a new 007 movie. 7th phone call to Colonial Penn Life. And the guy asked me all these questions: my name, her name, date of birth, where she's born, blah blah blah, what day she died. And he said, "Well, I don't understand it. You didn't tell us at first." I said, "Pal, that's 6 phone calls ago. I've been telling you guys the birth date every time I've called you after the first time. But it's been now over a month. No one's gotten paid. My sister hasn't gotten paid. The other beneficiary hasn't gotten paid. Send me the paperwork." So I'm waiting for the paperwork. When that comes in, I'll send it to my sister. I'll send it to the other beneficiary, and hopefully, before they die, they'll get a check. Then there's a third insurance company. My mother had 4 policies, but one policy, they said, even though I found something that had a premium paid on it and an actual policy for $3,000, they said, policy is no good anymore. So, okay. But there's another policy with a company named Beneficial Standard Life. What happens to a lot of these companies, they come out as X company, then they get bought by Y company, or they change their name to Y company. Well, this company has had about 17,000 names, and they're now called something else. So I call them up, and I got the policy. I got a copy of the original policy. I got letters from them. My mother started this policy in 1977, made out to me. That's for a fair amount of money. And then at some point, she may have turned around, decided, because I was in the doghouse for whatever reason, to change the beneficiary to my sister. But the point is, the policy, because I've got letters from 77 to 96 and canceled checks saying and my mother would pay the policy for like a year in advance or 6 months in advance every time she did this. So I call, and there's different letters from this company, and there's 3 different policy numbers. They're all off by, like it says 123 on one, 11 1 2 3 4 5 9 on the other, and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 on the third, but they're all the same policy. So I call them up, they can't find the policy. And I said, "Well, I got it in my hand. I got the canceled checks, man. I got the correspondence from your company telling about how to change a beneficiary, and here's letters about you've changed your name and your address has changed, but you'll still provide the service, blah 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 blah." So there's that. So I got to mail that off next week. I'm taking a break from all this paperwork. Go down, make copies, send them a copy of the debt. They want a certified copy of the debt certificate. So I'll send them a Mildew debt certificate. It's sitting in the baking soda. It should be aired out by next week. I gave a Mildew, I gave the Mildew notary public to Bank of America, so maybe Bank of America rot from the inside and the whole bank will collapse. My friend Maroney said the whole banking system will collapse. I mean, my fault, because all the banks in the country got mildew. I thought that was pretty funny. So I got done with that. Then the same Friday, we go down to the Hills of Eternity. Well, they got that right. Because you wait an eternity to get paid. But you don't wait an eternity to get screwed. Now, this is the cemetery my father's buried. My father was a Catholic. And for whatever reason, he used to take me to Mass. And then on Sunday, this is the days with the little envelopes, and they would have boxes of envelopes you would get, and it's for the poor in South America, the poor in China, the poor in Mexico, the poor in Africa. And everybody would throw in $1, $2, 50 cents, these little envelopes, and the guy would come in a little basket and he'd collect all the envelopes sometime during the service. And this was back when they spoke liturgical Latin. Dominus vobiscum et cum spiritu tuo adoremus. And I still remember it in the back of my mind. And the incense, I hated the smell of the incense. You know, they got hippies, they got incense smelling better than this stuff. So I could at least have some flavored stuff instead of nasty liturgical incense. So anyway, he takes me to church on Sundays. Then on Saturdays, my mother takes me to temple. to learn Hebrew, and then Friday nights takes me to the temple for Friday night services, and all the time I'm dressed in a suit, and I grew to really hate suits. My mother had me wear three-piece suits to school. I got beat up all the time. I'd come home bloody, shirt be torn, suit be torn. I went to private schools. This kid named Tommy Sawyer used to beat me up. Well, one day, I was living at the private school for a while in the attic. They had a little bed area. And I had washed cars at a Cadillac dealership, long gone. It's now an AMC theater in San Francisco. It used to be Kohlenberg Cadillac, huge 6-story building. Cadillac symbol still above the door. I was a kid, but I could park and move the cars. Barely see over the windshield. And these are the old Cadillacs with giant fins. I had one fear. I'd be washing the cars and slip, and they'd find me impaled on the back of the Cadillac, dead. So I knew how to move a car, start it, and drive it. Well, Tommy one day beat me up. And at the school, they had these little buses, little yellow buses with a little thing that would come out saying, stop. Well, Tommy beat me up one Friday, and he started to head home, and everybody else had left for the day. Why Tommy was still hanging around. And we had swings, because you had stuff from kindergarten to 12th grade there. And I saw him going down the driveway, so I hopped in one of the vans. I started it up. He didn't see me. I put it in the drive, and I honked at him. He saw it was me, and he started running. Well, I chased that guy for something like 9 or 10 blocks. Now, the school was in a semi-residential area, but it was also out in the country. He ran up and down lawns. He ran up and down the sidewalks. He ran up and down the streets. I was going to run him over. I'd had it. So I caught up with him with the van, pinned him against the wall, got out, and he couldn't move. I had got it so it wasn't squashed, but he couldn't move. I got out of the van. I said, if you ever lay a hand on me, now this is in the 7th grade, 1962, I think. If you ever lay a hand on me again, I'm going to kill you. I'm tired of being beaten up. I'm tired of going home and having to get new shirts, have my mother bitch at me about the shirts and the blood and why they're torn. Well, Monday, school comes. Tommy goes into school, tells everybody what happened. He said, don't mess with him. He's crazy, but if you mess with him, you're going to mess with me. So nobody beat me up after that. And by the way, I drove the band back. I did a pretty good job, parked it where it was, and nobody knew the difference. So anyway, my dad died. My mother buries him in a Jewish cemetery with the Star of David on the headstone in the grave, actually bronze plaque, his name, rank in the Army, what he did. Went in the Army in 1936. First job in the Army was a mule skidder, taking care and feeding the mules. We have a picture of him with his mules. His dad told me once he loved his mules. And we used mules in Italy, Sicily, Vietnam, Korea even. And I think they're using mules even in Afghanistan. The mountainous terrain. Mules can go where a horse can't. They wrote the mule off and the horse off, but recent conflicts we've been using pack animals again. And my sister thought it was funny that they bury a Catholic in a Jewish cemetery. And I said, only my mother would bury a Catholic in a Jewish cemetery. Now, he supposedly may or may not have converted, I don't know. But anyway, when she buried him in 1972, a grave was $3,000. That's a lot of money by anybody's standards. And at one time she was thinking, I'm going to cremate myself, which is against Jewish law. My mother was big on praying and the Torah and the Talmud and all this. Waking me up at 5:30 in my day off to make me pray with her. And I'm going, oh God, I can't sleep in, I got to pray. So I am not an observant Jew. I had to throw away her Torah. It was mildew. There was no way to save it. So that disturbed me. I would like to keep that. It was $24 when it was new, and now the same Torah is $45. It's the first 5 books of the Old Testament for you people who are not Jewish. So, $3,000. She goes in, talks to the director of the cemetery. how much for you to buy it back? And they offer $300. Well, this cemetery is jointly owned by Temple Emmanuel and Shearith Israel. We've been going to Shearith Israel since I was 12 years old. No, actually, I take it back. 13. Came out here from Washington, D.C. in 1965 after the riots in Washington, D.C., and then Kennedy had gotten killed before then. Johnson was president. They burned down lots of Georgia Avenue and downtown Washington, D.C., the blacks rioted. I don't know why they were all pissed off. A lot of them are living in poverty, but we always got along with our black friends, and my dad had been in the Army. A lot of his friends were black sergeants, so we didn't think of them as black. They were just our friends and their children. I went to school with them. There's 80% black in the city. I never thought of anybody as being black, and I still don't. I look at the person. So anyway, she buries him, goes to the cemetery guy, how much to sell me back the plot, and he said, I'll give you $300. So that's 90% discount for the cemetery, and you get $300. So I go in, she's dead, donate her body to science. I hope it's not mildewed. I hope it's not sitting in UCSF, which is where she donated it, and the mildew is spreading. We're going to see a giant mold ball on Parnassus Avenue, where the hospital is. We'll see stories about attacking the killer mildew on San Francisco. That's another thing. We're driving home one night recently, going up Judah, and passing us is a 4x4, a fire department. We only got bat out of hell. Almost hit us. So we go up there, let's see what's going on. And there's a fire truck, 2 firemen, the chief's truck, another truck. So we get on the hill, we're going to Amoeba Records, and they were closed, we didn't know it. We're going to McDonald's, get an ice cream cone, some water. I had to go to the bathroom. And down there, the San Francisco Fire Department ambulance. So I asked the guy, hey, what's going on at UC? They said, the coffee pot caught on fire. I was going to put it on YouTube. It was a major fire, but a coffee pot? They got like 4 fire trucks and 4 firemen for a coffee pot? That was one of the funniest things I ever saw. So, anyhow, go down there, ask the guy, okay, my mother's dead. Don't need everybody to science. Here's death certificate. Here's her ID. She's not going to use the grave. I don't know what to do with it. I could sell it privately, but it'd take forever. I got to put an ad in the paper. I don't want to get done. How much can you give me? So he says $785. Oh, that's pretty good. I can use it to pay my bills, pay some of my expenses I've had with moving her stuff and cleaning and gasoline to go back and forth from Concord to Martinez to San Francisco, back to Martinez, then back to Concord. My girlfriend lives in Concord, 10 miles from here. He says, well, there's an administrative fee. And I said, uh-oh, it's $300. Now, I know they got to have caretakers. They got to have the guy in the suit selling the graves to people. Guys putting flowers in, guys putting bushes in, guys fixing the sprinklers, guys putting sod in, guys got to dig the graves, maintain the lights, maintain the road that runs through the cemetery, run through the whole cemetery, goes up the hill. When they buried my dad, everything to the right was just fields. There was nothing there. Now they got greenhouses, they grow their own flowers. I said, $300? That's worse than the Mafia. That's worse than American Express. You take a cash advance for American Express, it's 24%. You guys, like Piece of the Action in Star Trek, you're taking your cut skimmed off the top. I could see $25 or $50, but $300, that's half. That's 50%. To file some papers and transfer it from column A to column B. From Crystal Center to me to the cemetery. So I wind up with $485 if it comes. It's supposed to come. Then I figured, oh, give me a check here. I'm here. You know, we drove all the way to Colma. That's like 40 miles. Oh no, we got to mail you the check. So that's another racket. So this is why I call it caravan to insanity. Dealing with all these guys to get the little tiny amount of money. And they put all these roadblocks in your way. Notary public, sign this, fill out this, show your ID. Why would they be running around with a death certificate? I don't know where my birth certificate is, in a drawer in the living room somewhere. But it says Anthony, Senda, my father, my mother, where they were born, where I was born. And unlike Obama, I have a birth certificate showing where I was born, McGee Hospital, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Not Pittsburgh Dad, not that guy. He was born in West Virginia. But like I would pretend to not be me with the $21 death certificate. But 50% off the grave. They've already ripped you off for $2,300. And I asked the guy, how much is a new grave today? If I drop dead now, and my girlfriend has to come out and say, put him in the ground, he says $7,000. I said, you got a racket going here. The guy got mad when I said that. That's outrageous. So, anyway, that's the story. So, I feel with this whole thing like this. So I'll hop on my horse and try to relax from all this, because I haven't relaxed since the first Monday in March when I got a letter from the housekeeper saying mother had heart attack, come right away. It's been non-stop craziness. Both my girlfriend and I feel like we're on a rat on fire on a treadmill going backwards. I'll catch you next time. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.